So I feel like I shouldn't say that this movie review is sponsored by cocaine, because it'd be kind of bad taken out of context. This is sponsored by bears. We're reviewing two bear movies back to back. Two. I don't know. What do you want from me? Also, just noticed this editing. I wore a Grogu shirt, and I was filming this with a green screen backdrop. Great thinking. Great thinking on my part. Cocaine Bear was directed by Elizabeth Banks and released in late February of this year. The film is based on true events, give or take a few. The story is exactly what it sounds like. A bear does cocaine and tears into some unlucky victims. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a masterpiece, but it is a hilarious time. If you haven't seen Cocaine Bear yet and don't want to know anything that happens, I'll have a time code on screen telling you when I enter spoilers. There's three main groups within this film. You have a mother, her daughter, and the daughter's friend. Moving into the second group, you have Ice Cube's son, his friend, and the man responsible for retrieving the cocaine, played by the late Ray Liotta. And the third group with Margot Martindale, her boyfriend, and some dumb teenagers, and some EMTs that show up. But really, it's Cocaine Bear. People are going to get messed up, and that is exactly one of the highlights of this film. There are some insane, brutal scenes here. Lots of kills, some really great bloody sequences. You watch Cocaine Bear rip off legs, slice into people, claw them to death, and you even get to watch her cubs gnaw on some guts in the final act. There's been complaints about this film not having enough of the bear and focusing more on these characters. I can somewhat agree there. There isn't much of the bear, as you'd probably expect, but I was kind of enjoying these characters, to be fair. This is a weird comparison, but everyone in this film feels like they're either in like a Wes Anderson film or a James Gunn film. They just have a very quirky or weird personality or vibe to them. If you've seen any Wes Anderson films in particular, you'll know there are characters in those films that are just very strange. And James Gunn films, of course, you should know from Guardians and The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, very quirky personalities and character arcs that are explored in those films. There's one cop in this film that wanted a dog to take with him on the job, and he ends up with this tiny dog. By the time he dies in the film, he ends up caring for the dog. That's just a random arc for the guy that's just thrown into the film for pretty much no reason. But I enjoyed it. I like dogs. The writing here is, of course, wacky, and characters are insanely stupid at times, but this is a movie about a bear doing cocaine. Are we really coming to this movie for the writing? You're here for a bunch of idiots running around getting torn into by a bear on cocaine. That's exactly what you get. I'm going to give Cocaine Bear an 8 out of 10. It's actually available on VOD right now if you're willing to pay $24.99 for a bear on cocaine. You make that choice for yourself. So getting into the spoilers, Margot Martindale's character, like I said, she's in the film as a park ranger. She kicks off probably one of the best scenes of the film, her kill. She gets brutalized a little bit earlier in the film, getting sliced at, but there's a sequence where she gets loaded into an ambulance by these EMTs, and it's easily my favorite sequence of the film, where Cocaine Bear chases down this ambulance. He knocks Margot Martindale's character off of the ambulance. She's still on the stretcher, by the way. You see her face skid across the road in brutal fashion. As for our EMTs, neither one of them are very lucky. One of them gets his hand ripped off and he gets torn into even more off screen. And the other EMT crashes and her whole body goes through the window. So, really dumb characters here, but it's great fun to just watch them get killed. And I know, probably sound like a psycho saying that, but I love horror. I'm a big horror fan. I live for the kills in these kind of movies. While this is definitely more of a comedy and thriller than it is a horror film, it is still pretty terrifying to watch these people unknowingly go up against this bear that is on cocaine and will tear them apart limb from limb. And that happens in many cases in this film. Ray Liotta serves as our antagonist for the film, putting everything on the line and willing to do anything to get the cocaine back. He has a relationship with his son, who is played by the guy that did Han Solo, in 2018. He's kind of tagging around with Ice Cube's son. They're kind of trying to get the cocaine back as the film progresses, but Ray Liotta's character enters, and him and his son have a fractured relationship, but we don't get a ton of development in on that, so it doesn't serve much of a purpose, but it does serve for the turning at the end of the film where the son and Ice Cube's friend help the mother and the kids who are being held hostage by Ray Liotta, because he reveals, that they're looking for the cocaine, and the mom and the kids already know because they've been, trying to reunite this whole time while being chased by the bear. So he takes them hostage, but Ice Cube and the son take care of Ray Liotta, and Cocaine Bear, gets her cubs after him and get to see them gnaw on Ray Liotta's intestines. I mean, it's pretty brutal for, a man that just passed this recent year, But, I'm sure he had fun with it. This looked like a fun movie to film, so I'm at least glad that his last performance was a fun one for him, hopefully. Really, that's about it for Cocaine Bear. It's a enjoyable time, brutal kills. Your characters aren't too developed, but you get a lot of quirky moments with them for sure. And it's all around just a good time. So let me know what you thought of Cocaine Bear down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching my review. The next movie review is going to be for Creed 3. Really great film. Can't wait to talk about that one. I'm actually rewatching the Rocky films right now, and if you want me to, I might actually, I might make a Rocky film tier list video, so that'll be very fun. And, yeah, thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.